You're listening to the Sane Mom Show, and I am your host, Dorothy Whitfield.
Welcome everybody to the show. My guest today is Kim Sutton, and we have actually had an awesome time talking already. And for everybody that is not familiar with you yet, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. As Dorothy said, my name is Kim Sutton, and I am the host of the Positive Productivity Podcast and owner of Sutton Strategic Solutions. Wow, we were already talking about chronic idea disorder. I'm writing a book called Chronic Idea Disorder. I almost forgot the name of my business. I'm a mom of 5, ages 14, 11, 4, and 2-year-old twins, and I live in Ohio.
Oh, and you have to look, okay, so I read about the husband, and so I kind of want you to share about the husband, about how you met too.
All right, yeah, that's good stuff.
That is interesting.
Okay, so I need to just take 2 minutes for a quick backstory. I had left a bad marriage, and I had my new apartment. It was completely empty. I had no furniture. And so I was looking on Craigslist for furniture, and I saw in the lower left-hand corner, I saw a little button that said, men looking for women. And I had already decided that I was going to spend the rest of my life single rather than be unhappy again. However, in the back of my mind, I had written, and it's not here, it's actually tucked away in my underwear drawer, a soulmate spec sheet. It was a list of 57 items that if I was going to date again, the guy needed to match up the whole list. So going back to Craigslist, I saw the button and I was like, I know this is G-rated, but I said, I'm going to click on it just to see what insert word here are out there because I really didn't want to date. Well, lo and behold, the second link I clicked on was my husband, and I just let him know, I'm going through a divorce. I actually told him, if you're still available in 6 months, let me know. Well, we met 2 days later, and it was love at first sight, and we both went into the marriage with 2 kids and then added 3 more, and and in the end, Craigslist has been very good to us. We found our house through Craigslist. Craigslist is awesome. Don't be scared, ladies, if you're single or men. It's not all about killers. 7 years later, I'm still alive.
I was going to ask you, how long have you been married?
We have been married for 5.5 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh my! I've heard like different stories of how people met, and the Craigslist one is a new one. So yeah, I don't know. We've turned into like the Sane Mom. How did you meet? The single mommy. This is potential options. Anything is possible show. Okay, so I know one of the things that you do is like help people declutter like all of the ideas, right? We work all of this, get all these ideas out so you're not overwhelmed with how many ideas that you want to do, so you can actually accomplish something.
Well, I try. Now, I have chronic idea disorder. You and I talked about it a little bit pre-show, and what I call chronic idea disorder, it started as a joke. I called it, I put up a post on Facebook. I said, I am proud to have chronic idea disorder, a never-ending supply of entrepreneurial ideas. And it turned out that so many more people than I ever imagined could relate. But what I realized the problem was that when we're chasing all the ideas all the time, sort of like the dogs in Up chasing all the squirrels, we never get anything done. And chances are we're not even following ideas that we are really passionate about. Very often we can start following ideas just because we see other people doing things and think, oh my gosh, they're making money doing it. Why don't I try? But what we have to do is decide one at a time and get it done and just put all the rest in a bucket for future. Am I perfect at that? No, not at all. I have like 3 different ideas going right now. That might be an understatement. But anyway, it's not like a million like it normally is.
So how did you decide like what you were going to do first? Like, what is my priority? And then when do you add another one in?
I I read, and I'm just looking at my shelf, The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte, and also Fire Starter Sessions. And that was a key point for me in realizing that I needed to stop chasing income and really follow my heart. So what I decided to do was follow the one thing that was just shouting at me, do me, do me, do me, like this is what you want to do. And when I saw the light at the end of the tunnel and I knew that that project was almost finished, then I let another one in. And how that is for me right now is I have a planner that I'm developing, and I like it. My graphic designer is doing the finishing steps, so I have started doing something else now. Yeah.
So what was the first thing that was like, okay, this is what I want to do? And then when did the podcast and everything come in?
Well, the podcast, okay, you had me going back on the timeline. I guess I need to revise my answer. You've just corrected me. So June of 2016, I actually started recording episodes. Okay. And I already had about 40 recorded by October when it was done, or by the time I released. But that was because I was being a perfectionist, and that's something else that we need to get over too is, start, because if you don't, you'll never know. So the thing that was actually holding me back from launching the podcast was because I didn't like my logo, which is so funny. I could have had it out with the most ridiculous logo and then changed it, but I didn't even think about that. So as it turned out, positive productivity is not about perfect grammar. As it turned out, the graphic designer that I hired to do the logo for the podcast has been part of my team for the past year now. He did the logo, and then he has designed the whole planner for me.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I guess I should say positive productivity as a brand started, my memory seems to be out the door right now, but
you have twins. There are lots of children around.
Oh yeah, and I already had to send my husband to the doctor with one of them this morning. Positive productivity as a brand actually got started in May of 2015, about 3 months after the twins were born. And it was just about merging a space of being productive with being positive, because I was starting to realize that I had a lot of anxiety and my productivity was just all over. My twins were only 4 months old then, so I don't know why I wasn't giving myself a break. I mean, seriously, but that's when I started my own personal brand, and everything has evolved and really gotten a lot more solid since then.
That's interesting that you started shortly after you had your twins, because I actually started the Sane Mom on I was pregnant with baby number 3.
Oh my.
And I think it was one of those things where I had other things that I had been trying to work on. And I had a lot of challenges kind of trying to, I don't want to use the word balance, but for lack of a better word, balance the children and doing what I wanted to do and working on my business. And so the Sane Mom, that's how I came up with that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I guess from not being very sane at the time, because it was like, I want to do something. So if I have to do something, I'm just going to do the Sane Mom, and that's what I'm going to do. And I wanted it to be something where like everything else I saw was so centered around the children, and not mom-centered. And I absolutely love my children. They are just amazing. But I wanted something like, what about something for me that's not just every time you go to a mom site, it's just children.
Right.
But like, where are the things for the moms that have things that they want to do, that want to be able to live their life fully and show their children that, hey, I can still support you and be your mom, but at the same time, I still have to support myself and go after what I want, because I feel like it's so important to show our children that, we go after what we want. And I feel like it empowers them to go after what they're called to do. So that's interesting that you started it.
Well, I found that I wasn't even scheduling time onto my calendar for me. Like doctor's appointments that I really needed to go to, or getting a haircut. I mean, in full disclosure, even though I talk about it on my podcast, it's scheduling in self-care. I mean, I realized last week that I haven't gotten my haircut in like 6 months. So my hairdresser will scold me, but I finally made the appointment, and that's going to be the non-negotiable event of next week. I have to thank you, Dorothy, because it's a Saturday, and Saturdays and makeup for me don't normally go along. That's just like, it just doesn't. I mean, I'm usually, okay, in full disclosure, I am in pajama pants, positive productivity. I'll wear what I want, right? But I told my husband, I was like, I've got makeup on and I'm showered. We're going on a date tonight. So he says, thank you too.
You're welcome, husband.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So taking time for self-care, I mean, even with our spouses or significant others, I mean, just if you're an entrepreneur, even if you're not, schedule it in. I mean, we don't have anything scheduled in for the next, ever. So I think I'm going to change that. What's scheduled on your calendar right now?
You are scheduled on my calendar. That is, I blocked off my whole day to be with you. And then after that, we're probably doing some family time and getting the children out and getting them some sun.
Yeah.
So that is usually like the plan on the weekends, to spend time with daddy, have time with running around and just spend family time. Now, our children are most of the time only allowed to watch TV on the weekends. They're homeschooled. And so on the weekends, sometimes they don't want to go out because they're like, this is the only time I get to watch TV. So there have been times where we've been like, okay, do y'all want to go out? And they're like, no, or they don't even hear us. Like they're in
mouth wide open,
zone.
eyes wide open. Yeah. Watching TV.
Yes. So we can walk right past. And they're like, I didn't know you were here. Really? Like I walked right past you. I said hello. But it's interesting. Do you ever find, and my husband has gotten on me about this, I hope I have gotten better, where I'll say, okay, when you get home, honey, I'm going out, or, I need to have some me time. And then when he gets home, then it's like I find a million things to do, or all of a sudden I start folding clothes. And my husband is like, okay, why is it that when you say you're getting ready to go out and you need to have some time for yourself, all of a sudden you make an excuse or you start doing random things that you didn't need to do? Like, does that happen to you? Or is that just me?
Actually, in my house, this is embarrassing, but it's my husband who tells me I need me time because I love my job so much to the point that I've actually had to turn an alarm on my phone to stop at the end of the day, like back away, get away from the screen, spend time like reading and away from screens. But what he'll actually do is turn on the bathtub, draw a bubble bath for me, and tell me if I do not get away from my computer, the tub's going to overflow and I'm going to have to pay for it, like for the cleanup. So he forces me to get out. He's like, don't you want to go out? Don't you want to go out? But he's an independent video game developer. And in the meantime, until his game comes out and, blows up the world like Minecraft, he's also working in retail full time. So my time at home with him, especially because he closes it every single night and has only just recently gotten weekends off, I just can't justify, like that's my only time to see him during the day. So yeah, pardon the screaming. That's, that would be the twins fighting
awesome.
With each other.
I don't even hear them. I think we hear our children more than other people hear them. They're like, yeah. But I don't even hear them. So yeah, they're doing good.
That's good. They are probably, I just have to share, I have 2 cats, Fame and Fortune. I decided that if that's the only way that I get, I have 2 cats. My husband has a cat as well. But I decided if the only way I got Fame and Fortune was through felines, then that would be just fine. Well, my husband and I had one of our very few fights. And in the 7 years we've been together, we've only fought 4 times. And he asked me what he could do to make it up to me. And I said I wanted 3 kittens, which was a total joke. With 5 kids, we didn't need another cat. Well, he accidentally let Fame out of the house, and she hadn't been fixed yet. So exactly 2 months later, so 2 months ago today, we had 5 kittens. So not only do we have 5 kids, but we have 8 cats and a dog.
Okay, how are you managing? How are you still able to be productive, positively productive with so many things going on? Like, animals require care. Your children want your attention. Your husband wants your attention. And you want to spend time with them. How do you manage it all? What are your tips for positively managing?
Well, the first thing is I don't have the strength that you do to homeschool. So my 3 youngest go to daycare during the day, and my 2 oldest are in school during the day. So that's big help, number 1. My older 2 want money for this, that, and every other thing. So they have to do chores. The older one does the dishes and the whole kitchen. And he loves to cook now too. He didn't learn that from me. I burn mac and cheese out of a box. And my younger one does laundry. So that takes out a lot of the productivity. I would honestly love to get some type of personal assistant who would go get the kids from daycare and bring them home, but I don't know, something about actually having somebody else drive my kids is unnerving. But I also, I picked it up before we actually started recording. I have a planner, and I set aside time every night, or I try to. I would be lying if I said every night, to plan out the next day. So I know what I need to get done, and I try to limit that to 3 things or less. And when those things are done, then I'll add another thing. Somebody just tried to break into my office. It's a lot more rewarding at the end of the day if you see 2 or 1 things crossed off a list of 3 than to see 3 things crossed off a list of 20. So give yourself that mental break. Know what you have to do tomorrow. Even if it's one mini little task out of a much bigger project, just assign yourself that little thing, because you can't tell yourself, I'm going to build out this whole funnel tomorrow, like marketing funnel, but you can write an email. So break it down. So that's how I get a lot done. It's just knowing and blocking and pre-planning.
So when do you decide to move on to the next project? Like, how much do you have to have done, or how much has to be flowing before you say, okay, this is going, now I'm going to add this. Like, my business is going, now I'm going to add the podcast, or, everything's going with the podcast. Now I'm going to start working on my book. Like, when do you say, okay, let's start something else?
I'm going to have to think about that. I might have to put a chapter in the book just for you, because I really didn't have that math developed. But I would have to say, I would have to say that you need to leave it at about 75%. Like, have it a good ways done. There are going to be people who tell you have it all the way done, because then you can start making money off of what's already going. But you and I both know a podcast is never done. I mean, it requires work all the time. So just because it's launched doesn't mean it's any easier. I mean, there's that whole part of finding guests and making sure that your episodes are getting edited if you need that, and social media. I guess it would be at the point where you see that your calendar is comfortable, that you're not breaking out in anxiety thinking about adding anything else, and that you know that if it doesn't get completed tomorrow, that you're going to be okay with it. But it has to be that place of peace. You can't just say, hey, I want to do this, especially about something that you're not passionate about. If you're not passionate about it, then don't even start it.
So how do you know if you're passionate? How do you separate the I'm doing this because somebody else is doing it, and I'm excited because of what I see them doing, versus your own excitement or your own thing that you're supposed to do? Because I know even sometimes when we're in it, some things that we may be passionate about, it starts getting, when you start getting to the work of it, just like with the children and with marriage, you're super passionate about it. But when you start getting into the work of it, then sometimes it can, you have this lull in the passion. So how do you separate, okay, this is what I'm really supposed to be following. This is, how do I really know? This is my passion.
What is your why, Dorothy?
My why?
Yeah.
Okay, see, you know what, you threw me off. Now you're trying to ask me questions. We're switching the show up. Okay, so my why, my overall, not just for the Sane Mom, but for everything I do, because the Sane Mom is just because I love sharing people's stories, and I want to get people's stories out in the world, and everyone has a story to tell. But my overall why of why I do relationship coaching is because your relationships and affect everyone else, and what you think about yourself affects everyone else. And I'm a big believer in love your neighbor as you love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, then you are going to accept abuse, and you are going to abuse others. And maybe not in the extreme sense that you may see on the news, but abuse yourself as far as thinking that you're unworthy, or feeling like you have to compete with somebody. And I want other people just to live who you are fully, be the person that God has called you to be, and recognize how special you are. And regardless of whether that is you being a janitor, because you are awesome at cleaning up, there's absolutely no shame in being a janitor, and there's no shame in being a CEO. There's no shame in being absolutely wealthy and you're comfortable with that, and there's no shame in living in your one bedroom. If that is what you are called to do, and that is what you enjoy, then I want people to enjoy their life to the fullest, because we're only here for a moment. And I think when other people see us truly living the way we are called to live, then it's almost like they feel like this permission of like, wow, they're doing it. And if they're doing it, then I want to go out and do that. And then even when our children see us, they say, you know what, my mom, my dad, they're living their life, and they're not putting everything on hold, and they're not living in fear. They are absolutely going for it and realizing that we are all people. It doesn't matter if you see someone on TV all the time, or what they're known for, or how much money they have. We're all people, and we're all made of the same thing. Everybody has melanin. And you know what's interesting? I have our children watch different things, and it's like, I was like, oh, we're all just different shades of brown. I was like, what are we fighting about? Like, this is ridiculous. We're all just different shades of brown. Right. And so it's just amazing, especially being a mom and seeing things through their eyes, of like how silly we become as adults, even in not talking to each other. Like when we first meet, like, you know, you can walk past somebody or sit near somebody and not say anything, but children don't do that. No. They see somebody and they're like, hey, that's my friend. You just met them. Like, what if we could do that as adults and just say, hey, let's play. Let's get to know each other. Yeah. You know, let's talk to each other instead of making excuses or like being so worried. I think, yes, you need to be discerning, and yes, you don't let everybody come to your house, but we are a village, and we have like such this independence mentality that a lot of moms and families, but a lot of moms are not getting the support that they need. And I think it would be like so much better if families were coming together and you had people that you could trust to watch your children, so that you can take a nap, so that you can be a better mom, you can be more productive, and we can all achieve our goal, and we can all be awesome, we can all support each other. Like, yeah. Okay, you know, I could keep talking. Stop it. I'm interviewing you. Leave me alone. So I want to support people so they can just be fully who God has called them to be.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you that your why. I'm going to take that last sentence. I support people so they can be who God wants them to be. Okay? Yeah. So what if somebody came to you with an opportunity that was totally not in line with that? Are you comfortable saying no?
Yes, I would be comfortable saying no.
Even if they offered
how much
you,
money is involved?
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, even if there's $2 million involved, 5 million, 10 million.
Is it close to my why? I don't know. There's a lot of support.
Yeah.
You know what? I think at this point in my life, I would say I would be comfortable turning it down because I have lots of opportunities to make money in other areas. And people have been like, why aren't you doing this? You could make so much money. And I'm like, I'm just not called to do it. I'm like, there are a lot of other people in this field that would be awesome at it. And I can do it and I would make money, but I'm not excited about it. Oh, you got me.
Yep. Yep. So that I was introduced to Simon Sinek right about the same time as I read The Desire Map. So I went through Why University and developed my why. And that it was really just a lot of things all at the same time. And I didn't even mention, and this was actually June, July of 2016. So a full year and a half after my twins were born. I was actually going through a lot of anxiety. I'd not been sleeping more than 2 or 3 hours a night for a year and a half. And that does horrible things to you mentally and physically. I mean, my hair was falling out. I was full of anxiety. When I got up in the morning, I felt like I was being choked by anxiety. I just wanted to get back in the bed. I was saying yes to work that I was not passionate about just because I was in scarcity mindset. I was like, okay, well, if I don't say yes, then our bills aren't getting paid. But I didn't think about the fact that if I say no, I might be able to do something that I am more passionate about, right? So as soon as I realized what my why was, I realized that, number one, I had a right to tell people no, that I'm not interested in doing their work. I have a right to expect a retainer up front for the work that I do because I'm not going to do for all my work, and then get stung. And that was happening a lot too when I was telling people yes. I was also working without a retainer. And for any entrepreneur, I mean, if you're in e-commerce, you don't ship the product without money. So why would you do 10, 20, 50 hours of service without a retainer? Just don't. So as soon as I started pulling everything back around and getting security for me, security for my family, security for my head and my heart, then it really all just worked back around.
So do you have a process that you send clients to before you accept them? Or what would you suggest that someone that's in business implement?
Well, the interview shouldn't be all about them, the client interviewing you. It should also be about you interviewing the client. I was listening to Michael Hyatt, I think earlier this week. I think it was Michael Hyatt. I'm just trying to think now. I'm looking at all the books that I'm reading too. And he said, you should send out referral letters to their past contractors as too. I've never done that before, but I don't think it's a bad idea. The last thing you want to do is get into a relationship with a client and find out that they had just a long-standing string of not paying. But if you do get the retainer up front, then that should be fine. But again, the interview, the initial conversation shouldn't just be about them interviewing you. You need to be able to ask them. Even things like, do you tend to micromanage? I mean, put up the red flags if they're a micromanager, because you don't need that. You got out of your full-time job, or maybe you're getting out, so that you're not being micromanaged all the time. What's your preferred method of communication? Here's my working hours. If you expect a time outside of that, then I'm going to charge you more, or I will just get back to you the next day. But you have to set those guidelines from the get-go.
Yes.
And I use Proposify. Proposify to send out my proposals and contracts, and they have to sign it digitally, and then I have it. Please make sure to get your proposals and contracts signed. I mean, they're only as good as your ability to enforce them in court, but still you have them. I actually had one client who wasn't paying her invoices, and in the end she told me to contact her attorney, and I ended up sending all of our communication and our contract, because I save everything. I save every single email. And he said, well, you've got enough evidence here. He's like, well, I'll gladly represent you in the future, but here's what I'm going to do. Send me your address and I'll send you the payment and then I'll go after her for it. And I was like, sold. Okay. So keep everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everything worked out in your favor. Like
Yeah.
it just switched. Like
Yeah.
the attorney was representing her, and then
Yeah.
remember, keep your records. Keep good records.
Yeah. As
You're
it turned
in
out,
business.
he was a bankruptcy attorney that she referred me to. So I didn't end up hiring him. But, you know, should I ever need a bankruptcy attorney, maybe I'd consider it. But
Before we go, because I feel like there's so much that I could talk to you about. I've enjoyed you so much. Even before, I feel like I need to share some like behind the scenes things because I was enjoying you so much. But before I let you go,
I'm very transparent. You can cut out, you know, clip and paste anything that happened.
before I let you go, share your tips, share your wisdom. I love like your one thing, just like you told me my one thing. What is like your advice, the one piece of wisdom, like if you don't do anything else, or like what is your thing, your word? Oh, you know what? That's not my last question. Let me not lie. That wasn't my last question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you that, and then I'm going to ask you another question.
I waited way too long to start hiring help. I was trying to do everything myself, and it was stupid. You can find somebody great in the country that you live in. You can go overseas. I mean, I'm not going to say in the U.S. because I know that your audience is, you know, international. But find somebody to help you do the work that either one that you need to do in your company but you don't like, or the work that you need to do in your house that you don't like. I mean, we finally hired somebody to take care of our yard because it was looking like a jungle. Nobody wanted to do it, and it was like a punishment. So we finally hired somebody to do it. But even I have a VA and a WordPress person, and that way I'm not pulling my hair out. Well, we're already going to go gray fast enough. You know, we don't need to pull our hair out doing the stuff that we don't like.
Now, what about the person that says, I can't afford it? Like, I'm spending money here. I can't afford to do that. Then what do you say to them?
I say, and I can't give you a quote where I heard this from, but I heard rich people spend money to save time. Poor people spend time to save money. So, I mean, this is one of those big things that opened my eyes. There's so many, you got to look at everything that you're spending money on. I mean, with 2 kids still in diapers, that's one thing that we've got to consider, by the way. In show notes, I hope that there's the link to copy me. I could use potty training tips for twins, please, Sane Moms listeners. But even things like using generic diapers or buying generic pasta, you know, there are so many things that we buy on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that we can cut back on or just shift our spending changes or our spending that will open up those doors. I mean, an overseas VA in the Philippines will cost $200 a month. While I know that's a lot of money, during doing those 40 hours a week times 4 for you, that's money that you can be spending doing other much more profitable activities. So give yourself the chart and see how it's going to benefit you.
Yeah, I've learned a few things. Like, you will spend money on what you really want to spend
Yes.
money on, and it's definitely better to hire someone else.
Yep.
Like, I don't consider myself a hair expert, and out of our 4 children, 2 of them are girls,
Mm-hmm.
and it was taking me so long to do hair. And I was like, this is ridiculous. We have to go pay somebody to do this because I'm telling you, one time it took about 9 hours. And I was like, my 9 hours of doing hair compared to taking them to a salon and it taking an hour and a half to do all 3 of us. I'm like, it is so worth it. That money is worth it because I could have spent all those hours doing something else.
That's a whole weekend that you would have spent.
because between those hours, like there is the baby that's constantly interrupting because he wants to get breastfed. And then they have to eat, and then somebody wants something. And so I'm like, this is definitely not worth the time that I'm spending. Like, just spend the money. It's not even worth it. So invest in yourself, spend the money, save the time, because you can always get more money. There is lots of money. You can get money.
Yes, you can.
You can get money. But that time, once this day ends, then the day ends.
Yep, you can't get time. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and I wanted to know, what books are you reading? I'm a book lover, and I have to know what books you're reading.
Right now, I am reading The Power of I Am by Joel Osteen. And I'm reading another one of his books too, but it's not on my desk. It's next to my bed. But The Power of I Am has actually been just huge for me. Have you read it?
I have not. Have I even heard of it? I don't know.
Have you heard of Joel Osteen?
No, I know who he is, but I'm like, have I heard of that one? I've heard of another one. Maybe if I see the cover, maybe I will. Okay, I think I have seen that cover.
I'm assigning you to read it. It has been an eye-opener, and one of the biggest things for me is we have to stop doubting ourselves, because God did put us on this earth to do something. And when we are telling ourselves that we are less than as great as we are, and I'm not talking about being vain and conceited, but I'm just talking about even when we're looking in the mirror, don't criticize yourself. God made you to be who you are, and you just appreciate it and tell yourself that you're beautiful. And what I actually did, I don't have my journals actually out in the other room, probably being decorated by children right now. But I wrote a list of I am statements. I went through each letter of the alphabet, and this isn't part of the book, but for each letter of the alphabet, I now have a word. So when the kids are driving me crazy, which they do a lot, I will go, rather than start yelling at them, either in my head or out loud, I will go through my I ams, and it will just calm me down. So, yeah.
All right, that's your Sane Mom tip. Write your I am list.
Yes.
And you have something to remind you who you are. So all you listeners, that was a good tip.
You can cheat on the letter X. There are no good letter X's. So,
I'm
like,
a xylophone.
Yeah, that's really about it. Maybe a musical, you can say I'm a xylophone, but no, you are extraordinary, whoever you are. So just put an E in front of it. It's still an X word. Yeah.
Yes. Because it's like he is in us.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're a part of him, then we're great.
Yep.
So stop treating yourself like you're unworthy. So,
and when somebody compliments you, just remember, like, and it was happening to me. People would compliment me, and I would, oh, you look great today. Oh, I'm so tired. Or, you mean this old shirt? Like, stop doing that. Say thank you, and because they don't compliment you to hear something down. They do it to make themselves feel better too. So
compliments are kind of like receiving a blessing, receiving a
they
gift.
Are.
And so when you say something back that's not positive or something other than thank you, it's kind of like you're rejecting the gift. Exactly. Or you're saying, oh, you're not telling the truth. You're just lying to me. Or you're just trying to, get something. And I actually had to work on it, not necessarily compliments, but receiving gifts from people, because I felt like every time somebody gave me something, I had to give them something back. And I had to learn to just allow other people to do something for you, and don't feel like you always have to do something back, because it's kind of like you're like doing this, we're even, or I'm kind of canceling out your gift, or I don't owe you kind of thing. And just allow people to do things for you just because they want to, do things for you. So I had to definitely learn to receive. So I think that's a big thing for moms sometimes, because we do so much for other people, and sometimes we forget to receive from other people or allow other people to do things for us. And I think part of that, of what you said about hiring somebody, comes into play because we feel like we have to do everything and we're doing everything and we're working on everything. But it's like, okay, receive help, receive somebody to do it. It doesn't always have to be done your way, but you can find somebody that may even do it better than you.
Oh,
Or
absolutely.
their ideas. It's like they let people work on what they're good at. I heard
Yes.
this story. A group of married ladies were talking at our church, and one of the women were saying, her husband said, I can hire somebody to cook, to clean, to do all these other things, but I can't hire somebody to, do
The wifely things.
do
Yes.
what married people do. And so it helped her like remember like, okay, I don't have to do all these things. Or sometimes like even especially early on when the baby is young and you're like, okay, the baby's asleep. I have to clean. I have to do all this. Take a nap.
Take
It
a
is
nap. Yes.
okay to take a nap. Get you
Yes.
sleep.
Yes.
Because it definitely makes a big difference when you get rest mentally and your emotions. Like your body needs rest. Like it's okay. It's okay if the laundry doesn't get done. Just let everybody walk around naked.
Yes.
It's all right. They're children. They're fine.
Well, we thought we were all done having kids with our daughter who's 4, and we were waiting to make it official. And the way that I say it is that God has a sense of humor. We say God has a sense of humor and decided that, no, you're not done, and you're going to have twins. So, yeah. Mamas, just remember, the older you get, the more likely of multiples you are. So, and God is amazing, and he does have a huge sense of humor. So be prepared. Movie's that fun. I know it's Disney. Be prepared. No, it's not Disney. Be prepared. Be prepared. Yeah.
I'm learning that. Are you prophetically speaking into my life? I feel like you're saying something to me.
Oh, I'm saying it to the whole world. My favorite thing, I love to go to the grocery store. I make a bet with myself before I go in. If I take all the littles with me, how many times am I going to hear, oh, you have your hands full, don't you?
I think it's funny, like, I'm like, we only have 4, and people look at us like, wow, those are a lot of children. Like, it's only 4 of them. It's really not that many.
Yes.
So.
My business coach and his wife have 10.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, you just have people to take care of you. I'm like, hey, you see all of this? I'm expecting y'all to take care of me. Mommy is going to be house hopping, and I'm expecting y'all to send me on cruises. Me and Daddy are going on cruises, like all of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am so glad earlier you touched on having the children do different tasks, assigning them responsibilities in the house, because I've noticed that sometimes moms don't do that because, or just parents, period, because they feel like, well, if I do it, I can do it quicker or I can do it better, instead of taking the time to teach them how to do it, which will take more time in the beginning, but it is so helpful later on, because then you won't have 15-year-olds and they don't know how to cook, or 18-year-olds and they're not helping around the house because you didn't teach them how to cook and you didn't teach them how to do things. And it is so helpful. And I told my children and my husband, I said, all of these children on these cooking shows, and they're like 9, 8 years old, like, all of you better be awesome chefs by the time that you're that age. Because Mommy is, I'm like, you'll be able to say, Mommy, I want to cook this. And I'll say, go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Never have to complain about eating what I decided to cook, because you will be in charge of cooking everything. And you just let me know when dinner is ready, because it's definitely helpful. And then it helps because when they're younger, they have this desire to help you. They want to do all these things. So it's like you have to make sure you do things within that window of them wanting to do it, because then they'll be used to it compared to waiting till they're older. And then they're like, oh, I'm not interested in that anymore.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, I've had to remind them that they can't just wait until the last minute to do their chores either. I mean, and I've used the comparison to my clients. You know, I know what work needs to get done. I cannot have them stressing out. You know, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? Because who knows what's going to happen before then? You know, the internet could go down, a hurricane, tornado, whatever could go through. Don't wait until the last minute. If your job is to do the kitchen, get it done, because I can't be waiting until I need to, well, whoever's cooking tonight to have a wash pan. In full disclosure, my 15-year-old will often cook because he knows that way I'm not going to burn it. I'm totally serious. I burn mac and cheese out of a box because I get distracted. Yeah.
I'm still working on having everything finished at the same time.
Oh, heck no.
There have been times when my children have been like, oh, we like daddy's food better than yours. And I'm like, good. Me too. Awesome. I love that you said that. Get daddy to cook.
Yep. I don't know why it's so hard for me to think about the fact that it takes an hour to get corn on the cob cooked. I mean, it's summertime here. You know, you can't just put it on the stove 10 minutes before dinner is going to be done, Kim. And the same with potatoes. They can't just go in the oven 10 minutes before. So, and I don't think about it. I think about what time we need to eat, but all the way up until when I know I need to start cooking, I don't think about dinner because I'm just focused. Yeah.
You and I are the same because I'm working on that. I'm working on okay, what time do I need to start and not just what time do I want us to eat.
Right.
So, yeah. Right.
Do you have
So
the food.com app on your phone? Is amazing, by the way. I use it. My son uses it. Yep. You can find awesome recipes, add them to your grocery cart or to your menu plan for the week. And that way you can just pull it up when you get to the grocery store and just cross things off. And it's awesome.
Now, does it give you the option to do like 3 ingredient, like things that you don't need a bunch of random ingredients?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, check out food.com.
Okay.
And depending on where you live, moms, I'm in very small town Ohio, but our 2 best local groceries now have curbside pickup and also delivery. So if grocery shopping just takes too much time, you can have it delivered, which will give you more time. I mean, our grocery delivery service costs, I think, like $90 a year. And as long as we have an order over $30, it's free delivery the same day.
That's really good.
So, I mean, that's no different than what you would be spending on Prime, Amazon Prime membership. But it means I don't need to spend 2 hours out of my day grocery shopping.
And you're saving on gas depending on how you're having them delivered. And then the taking everybody out of the car seats, getting everybody...
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
That's a whole nother time. And then chasing everybody around the store depending on their age. So there are lots of ways that we can find to save time. Just take the time in the beginning to sit down and say, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I want to get accomplished. These are the important things. And where can I hire someone, or where can I have something delivered or save time, or even I've learned waking up before the children wake up has been very helpful.
Yeah, but have they started to realize when you get up and woken up earlier now?
No, our children, and I think it's maybe the homeschool thing, they wake up around 9, 10 something. Now the baby, he will constantly come in our room. There will be times that I don't even know he's in my bed. Like, he is just like, I have to eat, so I'm going to come in your room in the middle of the night, climb in your bed, and just start breastfeeding. Like, I have woken up and been like, where'd you come from? Like, how did this, like, am I this tired that I don't realize that there is a child in my bed breastfeeding? Like, okay, we have to work on this. I'm a little concerned.
Well, We had to take we had to turn the doorknob around on our little's bedroom because they broke the doorknob thing right off, the child protector, and then they started locking their door from the inside, so we couldn't get in. So what we did was we turned it around so we could lock them into their room. Well, that's great until they learn how to lock the door, and we have a routine where we all go in there at night and give them hugs, kisses, ugga-muggas. Yes, we do watch Daniel Tiger. High fives, fist bumps, and then a secret. Like tomorrow will probably be another step. So the four of us older people are in there putting the three younger ones out or down, and we go to leave, and one of them had locked the door. So we had to put my 11-year-old out the window so he could let us all out. Yeah.
There's definitely never a dull moment with the children.
There definitely is not. So I don't remember where that fell into everything, but positive productivity does not mean everything is clean, normal, or organized.
It's a random mom story to let everybody know that even though I'm going to call you the queen of positive productivity,
okay,
even though you are the queen, you're living real life. These are real life experiences, and it's okay if things don't always fall in line. It's okay if everything doesn't work out perfectly. But the most important thing is that you get things done that are important to get done. Mm-hmm. And you're in alignment with your why?
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I have enjoyed you once again, like I said, like 100 times. And I look forward to everything you have coming up. Please share with everybody like your upcoming projects and everything you have going on so we know where to find you.
Well, the Positive Productivity Planner is coming out in a hard version in early 2018. But in the meantime, you can go to thekimsutton.com. Please remember to go to thekimsutton.com and not just kimsutton.com. That's not a site that anybody needs to go to. To get your 7-day version. I learned the hard way. I didn't see anything bad, but I did get a virus, so just don't go there. So you can go to thekimsutton.com, and right there on the main page, you can request your free 7-day version. You can find the Positive Productivity Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. And I'm also on Facebook, Instagram. You just Google Kim Sutton, and you'll find me out there.
Yes, we'll find you everywhere.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful day. And
thank you.
That's all, folks.
If you liked this episode, there's more where that came from. Subscribe, rate, review, and visit thesanemom.com for bonuses created just for you.